Well, a West Country MP is calling a truce in the war between teachers and the government. Charlotte Leslie says a Royal College of Teaching should be established to run the profession, and the politicians, well, they should be expelled. Here's Paul Baltrop.
It had all got rather personal. For many teachers, like these demonstrating in Bristol, Michael Gove was a figure of hate. Their anger couldn't be ignored. In July, he was replaced by a softer figure. The contrast is clear. Let's tone down the rhetoric, says Nicky Morgan, as she ramps up the praise.
A high-quality teaching workforce who are dedicated and hard-working, and I think, like everybody else in the education sector, wanting the best for all children who are at the heart of the education sector.
So that's quite a significant change, isn't it, from your predecessor?
Really? I didn't...
Even Conservative MPs
so.
have become increasingly concerned about relations between the government and teachers.
We don't value our public sector workforce enough. In any private sector, you know that a happy, empowered workforce is a more productive workforce. In the public sector, sometimes politics seems to go out of its way to bludgeon those very people who are working. We need to feel productive, and we need to unleash the vocation and the drive that led them to do that thing in the first place.
Can you give me an example of that, Chloe?
Emma Norman is the lead teacher for humanities at a Bristol secondary school. She talks wearily of the edicts coming down from education ministers.
We've had 3 or 4 main changes in the last decade, and what that means in reality is you're changing your plans on a weekly basis, you're waiting for an announcement so you know what you're teaching next year, you're waiting for an announcement for knowing what training you could have access to. But yeah, it is frustrating, it is.
So staff at the school were keen to advise their local MP, who's put forward plans for a Royal College of Teaching. Independent of government, it would oversee training and set professional standards.
Education is the most powerful lever for change in our country. The people who do that job need to be held to account. So we have pockets of excellent practice, we have pockets of underperformance, and what we need is an association, an organisation, to be able to ensure that we can get the balance and we can make sure that every child is getting the education that they deserve.
If this did happen, I think it would be the biggest game-changing thing in education for over 100 years. And I will fight furiously to make sure that no politicians, not my party, not anyone else's party, gets in the way of what could be such a game-changing thing, not only for teachers, but ultimately for pupils, because that's really what this is all about.
It must, she says, be backed by the teaching unions. That's looking likely.
NASUPT is very supportive of a Royal College. The fear is, of course, it isn't introduced properly. If it's introduced properly, I think it would be a very good thing for the profession. It is important that it's independent. That's independent of unions, but independent of politicians as well.
Teachers are guardedly optimistic. It's thought the Department for Education will soon announce funding to set up a College of Teaching. Talks between their unions and government ministers are, I'm told, much improved, with a distinct prospect that there'll be changes to address one of the biggest bugbears, workload. Over pay and pensions, there's little sign of compromise. The big teaching unions still have a mandate to call another strike. They'll see how talks go and make a decision closer to the election.
Paul Baltrop there. Well, Jan, what do you think of